The important thing is that markets incentivize people for discovering value. And whether a person displeases their fans in the short term or not, what ultimately matters is whether they are contributing value to the conversation. Because if, let's say, they get big, they get famous with their one idea, and then they have this other idea and they lose a lot of their fame and a lot of their power because their previous fan base didn't like it. If that second idea was really useful, the course of history will redeem them. And course of history, sounds like a long hundreds of years thing, but it might be weeks, it might be months. Like, time moves fast right now. People have flip-flopped so much on COVID in the last, couple of years that you can really quickly comb through who has the finger on the pulse of reality and who doesn't. So the market dynamic is about improving signal over time and separating genuine and enduring value from merely creating the impression of value. So people who do that will give their audiences a reason to support them as they go forward. And the pressure to maybe keep saying your one idea over and over is just another factor that the market will have to deal with and that the individual will have to deal with. And that's one of the things that I respect about markets, is that they enable such freedom of decision by the public and by the subject of the market. There's no hard and fast, rules about how to succeed. Just deliver value, just win confidence. And that's really what common knowledge making, that's really what narrative making, that's really what credibility building is about. It's about earning the trust. And however you do that is fair game, because if you fake it, it will be discovered. It will be expensive.
In your documents, you add something about that, right? Something about the way that if people want to use this as a way to manipulate the perception of others, of themselves, then it's like the opposite side of the coin of this thing that says information benefits from you trying to censor it, right? That's like the opposite. A reputation that you're trying to artificially pump eventually ends up collapsing even harder.
Yeah. And the clearest bifurcation there is that IdeaMarket gives a new income stream to voices that genuinely earn trust, because the money that people use to buy upvotes for their listing generates interest that then the owner of that listing can claim. And that becomes this new passive income stream, strictly in proportion to the trust that they earn from their audience. And if some propagandist or fake news purveyor or what have you wants to create the impression of that trust without having actually earned it, they have to pay out of pocket to buy themselves a high rank, whereas someone who genuinely earns it has crowdsourced the money that generates their passive income stream. So for genuinely earning trust, it becomes a new income stream. And for pretending to have earned trust, it becomes a new marketing cost off of the net, off of that entity's net. So that sort of creates this profitability divide between people who genuinely earn trust from their audience and those who just want to create the impression of it.
And I'm curious, why did you decide to go this model then, as opposed to, let's say, the decentralized Patreon?
Yeah, because something like a decentralized Patreon is about selling goods, which is not necessarily the same thing as creating value. And also, the selling goods aspect comes from Well, I didn't word that very well. Obviously, if you're selling goods, you're creating value in the perception of the audience. That's not quite what I meant to say. So let me start over then. IdeaMarket's goal is to help the world's best information reach the largest number of people. And Patreon is essentially it's either a paywall-based system or a donation-based system. And both of those interrupt that mission. If it's paywall-based, then the most people possible aren't seeing it. If it's donation-based, then the account owner is incentivized to speak directly to their donation base and not really anything else. They have to appeal to that crowd that is actually responsible for their salary. So IdeaMarket does it this way because we want journalists to be able to have an income stream without any paywalls, just based on the trust they earn from their audience for their free content, and also to enable them to speak to the widest audience possible, to not be beholden to a core group of donors or something like that.